Picture this. You're sitting across from the woman of your dreams on a picture-perfect date. The ambiance is flawless. You're both smiling, and everything seems to be going as planned. But then something shifts. Her expression changes, her body language stiffens, and before you know it, she's giving you the dreaded, "I just don't think we're compatible." What happened? The date was going perfectly, right? Wrong. You might have unknowingly committed one of those subtle emotional blunders that scare women away faster than a horror movie jump scare. Yes, fellas, emotions are tricky, and if you're not careful, the emotional mistakes you make can turn a promising relationship into a crash and burn scenario. So buckle up, because today we're diving deep into the emotional landmines that send women running, and more importantly, how to defuse them like an emotional bomb squad. Emotional mistake. Number 1. Emotional overloading. Let's start with a big one. Emotional overloading. Imagine this. You've barely finished your appetizers on your first date, and you've already shared your entire life story, including your childhood traumas, your heartbreak from high school, and the existential crisis you had last year. It's like opening a fire hydrant and drenching her with an uncontrollable torrent of feelings. Sound dramatic? Well, to her it feels that way. Women are naturally empathetic, which means they can sense when someone is feeling overwhelmed or burdened. Overloading her emotionally makes her feel like she's drowning in your problems before she's even had a chance to connect with the real you. Here's the golden rule. Relationships are a marathon, not a sprint. Unfold your layers slowly, like an intriguing novel, not a spoiler-filled trailer. How to fix it? Practice emotional pacing. Share, but don't overshare. Be genuine and honest, but save the deep, soul-revealing conversations for later when trust has been built. Remember, emotional vulnerability is attractive, but only when it's balanced and appropriate. Think of your emotions as a well-crafted movie plot. You don't reveal the big twist in the first 10 minutes. You build up to it, creating intrigue and connection along the way. Emotional mistake number 2, neediness and desperation. The classic paradox of neediness. You've seen it in movies. The guy calls her multiple times a day, sends just checking in texts every hour, and basically makes her the center of his universe. Hollywood makes it look sweet, but in reality, it's suffocating. Constantly needing reassurance, being overly eager, or acting like you'll crumble without her affection doesn't read as romantic. It screams, "I'm insecure and need you to validate me." Neediness creates a power imbalance. It makes her feel like she's responsible for your happiness, which is a heavy burden to bear. Women are naturally drawn to men who are strong, confident, and independent. They want someone who can stand on their own 2 feet, not someone who clings to them like a safety blanket. How to fix it? Cultivate independence. Invest in yourself, your hobbies, passions, and ambitions. Make sure you're living a life that you find fulfilling, with or without her. A man who is self-sufficient and purpose-driven is magnetic. He's the kind of man women are naturally drawn to, not because he needs them, but because he chooses to share his life with them. Neediness evaporates when you genuinely enjoy your own company and have a life you're proud of. Number 3. Emotional dishonesty. This one is sneaky. Emotional dishonesty doesn't just mean lying or hiding things. It's about not being true to your feelings. Imagine you're upset about something she did, but instead of addressing it, you plaster on a smile and say, "It's fine." Spoiler alert, she knows it's not fine. Women have a 6th sense for emotional shifts, and when they pick up on your discomfort, but you pretend everything is okay, it creates confusion and mistrust. Why do men do this? Sometimes it's to avoid conflict or appear easygoing, but bottling up your emotions only works for so long. Eventually, those feelings will bubble to the surface, often in an explosive or passive-aggressive way that's way worse than addressing them head-on. How to fix it? Practice emotional transparency. It doesn't mean unloading every frustration you have in the moment, but it does mean being honest about how you feel. Use calm, direct communication. Phrases like, "I felt disappointed when," or "it hurt me when." Keep the conversation grounded in your experience rather than launching accusations. Women value a man who can be vulnerable and authentic, even if it's uncomfortable. Being open and communicative shows strength, not weakness. Mistake number 4, emotional stonewalling. The great emotional shutdown. Picture this. Things get heated, and instead of engaging in the conversation, you withdraw completely. It's like flipping a switch and turning into a brick wall. No emotion, no response, just cold, hard silence. To her, it feels like abandonment. Emotional stonewalling leaves women feeling isolated, disconnected, and deeply hurt. It's the equivalent of slamming the door in her face and refusing to open it. Men often resort to stonewalling to protect themselves from getting hurt or to avoid dealing with uncomfortable emotions. But guess what? It doesn't make the problem go away. In fact, it adds a thick layer of emotional distance that's hard to overcome. How to fix it? Learn the art of emotional regulation. When you feel overwhelmed, it's okay to ask for a moment to collect your thoughts. Take a walk, breathe, calm your mind, but always come back to the conversation. Show her that you're committed to working through issues together. Emotional engagement, even when it's difficult, builds trust and intimacy. It shows that you're not just present in the good times, but also when things get tough. Mistake number 5, emotional fear-mongering. This one's a doozy. Emotional fear-mongering happens when past traumas influence how you treat new relationships. Maybe you were cheated on in the past, or someone betrayed your trust, and now you're hyper-vigilant. You project those fears onto her, questioning her loyalty, doubting her intentions, or assuming the worst. It's like fighting a battle she never signed up for, and it creates a toxic atmosphere. Women aren't interested in being put on trial for crimes they didn't commit. Constantly needing reassurance, throwing out baseless accusations, or being paranoid doesn't protect you from being hurt again. It drives her away. How to fix it? Heal your emotional wounds. Therapy, self-reflection, journaling. Do whatever it takes to process the pain of the past. Women are incredibly understanding when you're honest about your fears and show that you're actively working on them. But don't make her the emotional janitor who has to clean up your baggage. Be someone who acknowledges his pain, but doesn't let it dictate his future. Mistake number 6, emotional detachment. Let's talk about emotional detachment. In an effort to seem cool and unbothered, some men become emotionally distant. They think being mysterious and aloof will make them more attractive. And while it might work in the short term, it eventually becomes frustrating. Being emotionally unavailable might keep you safe, but it also keeps her at arm's length, making it impossible for her to connect with you. Women crave emotional connection. They want to feel safe and understood. If you're emotionally detached, she'll feel like she's pouring her heart into a black hole, never knowing if she's truly getting through to you. How to fix it? Practice gradual emotional openness. Start by sharing small, meaningful things about your life. Show her that you can be warm, affectionate, and caring. Let down your guard, even if it's scary. Women don't need a knight in shining armor. They need someone who's real, flawed, and capable of love. Emotional detachment might feel protective, but true strength comes from being brave enough to connect. Mistake number 7, emotional irresponsibility. Finally, let's tackle emotional irresponsibility. This happens when you refuse to take accountability for your actions. Instead of owning up to your mistakes, you blame external factors, make excuses, or worse, pin it on her. It's the emotional equivalent of playing dodgeball with responsibility. Sure, you might avoid temporary discomfort, but in the long run, it breeds resentment and distrust. Women admire men who are mature enough to admit when they're wrong. It shows humility, self-awareness, and a desire to grow. Dodging blame might feel easier in the moment, but it damages the relationship over time. How to fix it? Embrace emotional accountability. When you mess up, and let's be real, we all do, own it. Say, "I'm sorry, I was wrong, and here's how I'll do better next time." It's not a sign of weakness, it's the ultimate power move. Accountability makes you a partner she can respect, trust, and rely on. There you have it, a guide to navigating the emotional minefield without blowing up your chances at love. By avoiding these mistakes and mastering your emotional intelligence, you'll not only attract women, but also build deep, meaningful connections that last. After all, becoming emotionally aware isn't just about relationships, it's about becoming the best version of yourself.